Good morning, everyone. I'm Joyce King, Chief Counsel at the Frederick County State's Attorney's Office. It's my privilege to welcome you all as we officially launch the Enhanced Collaborative Model Task Force. I'm honored to stand here with a coalition of professionals and organizations who share a commitment to ending human trafficking in our community as we announce the grant award from the U.S. Department of Justice Office for the Victims of Crime in the amount of $1.06 million. Today represents not only the beginning of a new approach, but a renewed promise to the people of Frederick County that we will do everything in our power to protect those who are vulnerable and to bring justice to those who exploit others. Our office is proud to take the lead in this endeavor. I'm personally committed to ensuring that we bring the full weight of the law to bear against traffickers operating within Frederick County. This is not just a professional duty, it's a moral imperative. We know the devastating impact that trafficking brings on survivors and on our community as a whole. And we are here to ensure that those who inflict harm will be met with swift and resolute justice. Through our role, we will coordinate closely with every agency represented here, from local law enforcement to our federal partners, the state police, to ensure that our response is comprehensive, effective, survivor-centered. By leading this task force, we take a stand against trafficking and work to create a safer, stronger community. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the U.S. Department of Justice, especially the Office for Victims of Crime, for awarding us this grant that makes this initiative possible. We are particularly grateful to Director Chris Rose and her dedicated team, whose commitment to combating trafficking is an inspiration. Their support allows us to bring together resources, expertise, amplifying our collective impact. I'm also incredibly grateful to all our partners who are here today and play such an essential role in the mission: Operation Lightshine, Safe House Project, Frederick County Sheriff's Office, Frederick City Police, Homeland Security Investigations, FBI, and Maryland State Police. All of you bring invaluable resources, perspectives, and commitment to this work. Together, we form a unified force against trafficking, one that is equipped to handle every aspect of these complex cases, from initial identification through prosecution, and most importantly, survivor support. I must take a moment to recognize my colleague, Lindsay Carpenter. Lindsay has been instrumental in coordinating cases and bringing traffickers to justice with an unyielding dedication and compassion. Her fervor in prosecuting these cases is truly commendable. I am deeply grateful for her commitment to this cause. And to our state's attorney, Charlie Smith, I want to express my admiration for your leadership, your dedication to justice, and the mission to protect our community and to support our team that made this all possible. Charlie, thank you for your vision and for empowering each of us to bring our very best to this fight. This task force builds upon a tireless effort already in place here in Frederick County through the Human Trafficking Response Team as well as the Intercept Task Force. These teams have done tremendous work to identify victims and bring traffickers to justice. Today, we build on their success by adding resources, expertise, as well as capacity, allowing us to cast a wider net, allowing us to support more victims and those exiting exploitation. The ECM Task Force model is a transformative approach, one that combines law enforcement, community, organizations, and survivor support services into a single, well-coordinated entity. This model ensures that every aspect of trafficking, from victim identification to offender prosecution, is handled in a way that is informed, compassionate, and effective. We are not just responding to trafficking, we are building a system to prevent it and to provide survivors with the care and support that they need to rebuild their lives. We are here because trafficking is a devastating reality that we must confront head-on. Frederick County, with its strategic location along major interstates, has seen its share in horrific cases. Between January 2022 and April 2024, local authorities and NGOs identified 34 sex trafficking victims and 7 labor trafficking victims. But we know that these numbers are only scratching the surface. This task force is an answer to this crisis. With our combined resources, expertise, determination, we will make Frederick County a safer place. We are dedicated to identifying and rescuing victims, prosecuting offenders to the fullest extent of the law, and supporting survivors so they can reclaim their lives. This is a long-term commitment, and I look forward to seeing this progress we make together. The strength of this task force lies in the unity and expertise of each of the partners here today. By joining forces, we have the power to make a lasting impact and to set a standard for collaboration, justice, and fight against human trafficking. I'm inspired by the dedication of each of you, law enforcement officers, advocates, community leaders, federal agents, Operation Lightshine, and our newest partners, Safe House Project. Your presence here reflects a shared commitment, and I'm confident that together we will bring a meaningful change. Our work here will not be easy, but it is necessary and truly impactful. Together, we will stand a force against exploitation. Thank you all for your commitment, collaboration, and belief in this mission. Together, we are making a profound difference in the fight against human trafficking. At this time, it's my pleasure to turn things over to State's Attorney Charlie Smith, who has been instrumental in bringing this to life. I'm so grateful to have you by our side, and I give you State's Attorney Smith.
Thank you, Joyce, for that warm introduction and your leadership in this endeavor. It's just been tremendous, the work that you do every single day to bring strength and purpose to this task force. It really does, and it's an honor to work alongside of you. We're certainly a partner. I'd also like to thank Department of Justice, particularly the Office of Victims of Crime, for their support and belief in our community's capacity to confront trafficking head on. So Director Chris Rose and her team have shown remarkable commitment, and we are grateful for the opportunity to make a difference right here in Frederick County. I want to take a moment to recognize Lindsay Carpenter, whose dedication and prosecutorial fervor have driven so many of our cases forward. Lindsay, you're just an awesome asset and leader of our Special Victims Unit. She does it not only in the area of human trafficking, but in other vulnerable victim crimes as well. And so you certainly have set an extremely high standard for prosecutors locally and prosecutors across the state and nationally, in my opinion. So you have such compassion for these survivors in every case that you handle. So thank you. Excuse me. The task force would not be possible without the support of each partner organization here today. Operation Lightshine, Safe House Project, the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, Frederick Police Department, Homeland Security, and all of our other federal partners. FBI is here as well. It takes a team to get this done. And we appreciate the resources that you all have committed towards this endeavor and towards this effort. It truly is a team effort, and every agency represented here today plays an essential role in getting our mission done. Every single agency. It truly is a team approach. As Frederick County State's Attorney, I want to make it absolutely clear that human trafficking has no place in our community whatsoever. Zero. It's a zero tolerance for those who prey on vulnerable individuals will be met with the full force of law. Our mission is to protect and defend the most vulnerable among us, and certainly those that are trafficked are part of that population, and we are not going to waver in this fight. Our role at the State's Attorney's Office is one of leadership, coordination, and commitment, and we stand at the forefront alongside of each of our law enforcement partners to ensure that every trafficker is prosecuted, every single trafficker, and that every survivor of trafficking, every survivor receives the support and protection that they deserve. This is about justice, and it's about compassion. And we want to champion the rights and the dignity, quite frankly, of these affected by such a heinous crime as human trafficking. So this task force builds on years of hard work and dedication by those who have already been fighting this battle through our human trafficking response team, the HTRT, and the Intercept Task Force, the Child Exploitation and Person Trafficking Task Force. These teams have set the foundation for what we're doing here today by identifying victims, bringing traffickers to justice, and today we're just taking it to the next level, and we're thankful for those two task forces. The enhanced collaborative model, as Joyce talked about, the ECM, is truly a comprehensive approach. It brings together law enforcement, victim advocates, community organizations, federal resources, and we are creating a unified and robust response to human trafficking. And it ensures that every single aspect of this issue is addressed, from identification and rescue to legal prosecution and survivor support. It's about building a framework that can prevent trafficking before it happens and then support survivors every step along the way. And so we're here because trafficking is certainly a real issue, an urgent issue in Frederick County and in Frederick City, and it's something that really profoundly affects our community. It really does. So Frederick County, with its strategic location along the interstates, obviously, we're right there with D.C. and Baltimore, is a prime target for traffickers. And we've seen that. We've seen them come out of D.C. We've seen them come out of Baltimore and other cities up and down the East Coast for that matter. And as Joyce mentioned, between January of 2022 and April of 24, we identified 34 victims of sex trafficking and 7 victims of labor trafficking. And we know there are many, many more than that. That's just those that we've been able to identify with the limited resources we had in place at the time. So it really, again, this task force represents a commitment to say no more. No more traffickers will be allowed to prey on the vulnerable here. No more survivors will be left without support. And today, we will make Frederick County a place where trafficking is eradicated, where survivors feel safe and they come forward, and where justice truly is served for this community. So the strength of this task force, as we've been talking about the whole time, lies in our partnerships. And so each one, you're about to hear from many of them here today, brings something to the table. Operation Light Shine's experience in this task force coordination has been invaluable. They were invaluable in Intercept. They're going to be invaluable in this task force as well. Safe House Project, which we had an opportunity to talk about what they did on a national level. Quite frankly, I was very impressed with what they're doing nationally to support these survivors and support these housing efforts, which is something that is so drastically needed in this community. It's one of our, they really are such a critical partner. I know oftentimes we get focused on the law enforcement side of things, but certainly on the survivor support in the area of housing, it's truly a critical component to what we're trying to accomplish. So we're thankful for our Sheriff's Office, our Frederick Police Department, our federal partners, all of which create this task force and are going to allow us to meet this challenge head on. So I'm deeply grateful to each one of you for your commitment to this. And we will face obstacles along the way, but through collaboration, we're going to overcome each and every one of them. And so as I look to the future, I really am filled with hope. I really am. And resolve. We've heard resolve, and you're about to hear it today. But really hope that we'll be able to eradicate this terrible problem here in Frederick County and in Frederick City. So it's a long-term mission. We're going to be in it for a long time. And so I encourage each one of us to stay resilient in what we're doing here today. And again, so that every trafficker can be brought to justice. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Frederick County Sheriff Chuck Jenkins. He is a dedicated leader whose commitment to public safety has been unwavering. He really is a great sheriff here in Frederick County. He's been instrumental in building partnerships and creating a safer community through his work. His leadership in law enforcement and his dedication, again, to collaboration have made him an invaluable partner in this fight. So, Chuck, thank you for your service and your vision, and I look forward to working with you in this regard. So thank you so much, Sheriff.
Thank you. Good morning. I'll try not to be redundant, so it'll probably cut my comments a little short, which is probably good. So, first of all, I'm going to emphasize the need for partnerships and collaboration and my commitment to the program. First of all, I do want to especially recognize Joyce King of the State's Attorney's Office as the driving force behind the Project Intercept Task Force. Without her commitment, her dedication, her enthusiasm, making this happen, we wouldn't be where we are today. So, again, Joyce, thank you very much on behalf of the citizens of Frederick County and on behalf of the victims. Also, Lindsay Carpenter, again, for your just prowess and dedication to tough prosecutions. So it's important really to recognize the need for the collaboration, for the working together, for the partnerships really to make this work. I want to reaffirm from now going forward, you have my commitment that the Sheriff's Office will be involved in this program, my dedication to support with the task force, with manpower, and any other resources I can pull together. The manpower is always an issue for agencies, so again, when we can, we will add bodies to the effort, and we'll see where the need goes from here. You know, we also have access to a lot of training, a lot of technology that we wouldn't have without our federal partner. The ongoing training for deputies is really a big thing because of the burnout rate. So along with the trafficking, you have the child exploitation component. So the burnout is really heavy with investigators. That's why the need for continual training, rotating people through the positions, and it just takes quite a bit of time to be good at what you do here. Human trafficking has always been a priority for the Sheriff's Office, going back as far as 2008. When I first got involved with Homeland Security, I assigned an investigator to the Maryland statewide Human Trafficking Task Force. Back in those days, it was a different dynamic than where we are today. So dedication, again, the role of law enforcement is a dual role. Number one is to go after, identify the predators, the traffickers, get them off the street, keep them off the street. But the main goal, the main purpose has always been with us, again, going back years ago when we had our initial training with Homeland Security, is toward the victim. Make the victim safe, get them off the street, and get their lives turned around so they can be successful and they can have a life, a normal, good life like everybody else. We're always looking at trying to find that pathway for the victims. So again, in my career primarily, most of my career was a criminal investigator where I actually got involved in sexual abuse, child exploitation. So I realized the need and importance for this. And again, the dynamic has changed in what we're dealing with today as to what we were dealing with 20-some years ago. Again, like I talked about, the partnerships are really, really important. I always intend to strengthen those, working together. Operation Light Shine, again, this morning, their expertise in coordination and providing oversight. The Safe House Project provides survivor services and victim-centered care. Federal law enforcement, Homeland Security investigations, you know, we've been a partner with them for quite a long time. Also with under the umbrella of Homeland Security, which is also our narcotics investigations. So again, like I said, one agency can't do this by themselves. It takes so much effort, so much time, so many resources to pull these investigations together. And traffickers do not know jurisdictions or boundaries. That's why it's important to expand from the local level to the state to even the federal level. I was going to mention stats, but they've already been touched on a little bit. And I'll also talk about, again, our geographical location in Frederick County. Much like drug trafficking, because of where we're located between Washington and Baltimore, we are a ripe area for human trafficking, and we're going to shut that down. Looking ahead, again, you can count on the Sheriff's Office to be fully committed to this. We're going to adapt as we need to. It's going to be a long-term commitment for the Sheriff's Office and all my men and women. And again, you can count on it going forward, and I predict that we're going to be extremely successful. And like Charlie Smith said, I think we'll be able to shut this down in Frederick County going forward to hopefully someday we'll have no victims of human trafficking or child exploitation. So you have my commitment as a sheriff as far as we need to go with this. So it's my pleasure right now to introduce the Frederick City Police Chief, Jason Lando, his leadership of that agency, his commitment to the community through community policing. And, you know, I've worked with him now for, I guess, what, Chief, 5 years? Okay, four, but who's counting? But anyway, it's been a good partnership between agencies. I only expect that will get better. So, Chief?
Thanks, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff, for the kind introduction and for the outstanding partnership between the Frederick County Sheriff's Office and FPD. It's been my honor to work alongside your team, the state's attorney's office, and our allied partners in this important project. I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude and my appreciation to everyone involved in the formation of the Enhanced Collaborative Model Task Force. A few things come to mind when I think about the work that this team does every single day, and that's unity, resilience, and most of all, dedication. Our teams work collaboratively as one, and they are fiercely dedicated to the mission of protecting society's most vulnerable. At FPD, we know human trafficking is a crime that profoundly impacts individuals, families, as well as entire communities. Human trafficking is not just a policing issue. It is a community issue that requires a comprehensive and a compassionate approach. As police officers, our role extends far beyond just enforcing the law. We have to work hard every day to build trust with our communities. Through the work of our Multicultural Liaison Unit, we provide opportunities for some of our most vulnerable residents to come forward and tell their stories. Through the tireless work of our detectives, our crime analysts, and our other partners, we are holding those accountable who commit these terrible acts in our community. And through the work of our Victim Services Unit, we provide the necessary resources and support for those affected by human trafficking to help them rebuild their lives. While I am up here today speaking on behalf of FPD, it is critical to note that this work, as has been said before, is very much a collaborative effort. We are one piece of a larger team whose work sets the bar for how law enforcement across the country should investigate these types of crimes and how we should be treating survivors of human trafficking. While it is critically important to hold traffickers accountable for their crimes, it is equally important for us to help those survivors move forward with dignity and with strength. I'm inspired by what lies ahead. FPD is proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with each of you in this fight and to build a safer community for all. It is now my honor to introduce Brian Waite, COO of Operation Lightshine. Brian and his team have been instrumental in bringing this task force to life through their outstanding leadership, coordination, and vision. Brian?
Good morning, everybody. As you mentioned, my name is Brian Waite, and I have the absolute honor and privilege to serve as the COO at Operation Lightshine. And it's a privilege to be here today as we launch the Enhanced Collaborative Model Task Force. Standing alongside each of you, our local federal law enforcement partners, survivor advocates, community leaders, I just want to say thank you for your willingness to be collaborative and work together. It's such a privilege to stand up here alongside each and every one of you. Operation Lightshine was founded with a singular mission. It's to bring the full force of coordinated multi-agency approach to the fight of human trafficking and child exploitation. We believe that if we unite as a coalition, pooling resources, sharing intelligence, and supporting each other's strengths, our response to trafficking is far more powerful and effective than if we did it alone. Our work with Frederick is not new. We've had the very great opportunity to be working alongside Joyce and her team with the Intercept Task Force here in Frederick. Operation Lightshine has already been on the ground working hand in hand with local law enforcement agencies and community organizations to identify, investigate, and dismantle trafficking networks. Intercept is more than just an operational model. It is a boots-on-the-ground, real-time response to the immediate need of law enforcement and survivors alike. Through Intercept, we have developed protocols for faster responses, intelligence sharing, and cross-agency coordination that has already shown tangible results in this community. We have partnered with the Frederick County Sheriff's Office and Frederick City Police Department to conduct operations that prioritize both offender and apprehension and survivor safety, creating an effective framework that this new ECM task force will only strengthen in. What makes ECM Task Force so unique is our commitment to centralized coordination. Traditional task forces often take time and place in silos, with agencies handling separate cases. But through this model, every agency involved connected in every stage. This allows them to respond faster, share intelligence seamlessly, and then also set up from initiated identification, investigations to survivor support. It's handling this with precision and care. With the enhanced collaborative model, we are setting a new standard not only for Frederick County, but for task forces across the nation. It is a proactive approach where law enforcement, community organizations, and survivor support services are all woven together into a single strategic fabric to maximize our impact. The success of our Intercept Task Force model has been a powerful proof of concept for Operation Lightshine. Through Intercept, we have had the privilege of working with local law enforcement on complex trafficking cases, combating cutting-edge technology, strategic operations, and dedications of each partner to make a real difference on the ground. With Intercept, we've seen firsthand the value of collaborative response. In recent operations, we have been able to identify and rescue the safety of multiple survivors and bring traffickers to justice. The success is due to the fact of every aspect of our team's response: intelligence gathering, victim services, and enforcement. It is interconnected and allowing them to be agile and effective. I want to take a moment and express gratitude to the Department of Justice and Office for Victims of Crime for seeing the potential of this enhanced collaborative model task force and for giving us the opportunity to implement this initiative approach here in Frederick County. Their support provides us with resources needed to amplify our impact and continue refining this model. With D.O.J's backing, we are confident that this task force will set a new benchmark for anti-trafficking efforts, and we are committed to proving our value. Our coordinated strategy with Operation Lightshine is designed to ensure that no resource is left unsupported. Every partner on this task force plays a very critical role. From law enforcement to survivor advocates, it is our responsibility to bring all these elements together for a maximum impact. We also leverage advanced technology and data analysis to enhance our coordinated efforts, giving us real-time insight and to improve the decision-making and operational planning. Our intelligence platforms allow us to share data securely across agencies while also maintaining the highest standard of privacy and survivor protection. At Operation Lightshine, we are constantly exploring innovative approaches to refine our methods, where this is tough predictive analysis, specialized training for officers, or building community channels that keep survivors informed and empowered. One of our core principles at Operation Lightshine is that survivor care must be at the center of every operation we conduct. We know that trauma-informed care is not just a service, it is a responsibility. This task force is dedicated to ensuring that each survivor feels safe, they feel heard, and supported as we navigate through the journey forward. Our partnership with Safe House Project and local law enforcement agencies ensures that survivors receive comprehensive care from immediate crisis intervention to long-term support. The synergy created by this, combining our resources and our experiences, enables us to provide survivors with a safety net that is robust, compassionate, and consistent. I am both proud and humbled to be part of this extraordinary team. We are here to make a tangible, lasting impact with every operation, every case, and every survivor we support. We are moving closer to a future where trafficking has no place in Frederick County or anywhere else. This task force is a powerful step forward, and I believe we have the right team, the right strategies, and the right commitment to put an end to this issue. Together, we are setting a new standard for collaboration, one I hope will serve as a model for other communities as well. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce another one of our partners, Deputy Special Agent in Charge, Evan Campanella from Homeland Security. His dedication and federal expertise are essential to the success of this task force, and their commitment to combating human trafficking provides a critical layer of support for local efforts. We are incredibly fortunate to have them as a partner, and I'm excited to see the impact we'll make together.
Thank you, Brian. As Brian said, I just want to take a moment to reintroduce myself. My name is Evan Campanella. I'm the Deputy Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in Maryland. It's a pleasure to be standing up here today with the Safe House Project, Operation Lightshine, the State's Attorney's Office, Sheriff Jenkins, Chief Lando, and the rest of our law enforcement partners. All of us have a hand in protecting our citizens from those that seek to prey on them through fraud, force, or coercion, or more plainly speaking, human trafficking. It is estimated that on any given day, there are 27 million men, women, and children being trafficked throughout the world, including right here in the United States. The best way for us to combat this rampant exploitation is through operations and partnerships, just like the Interagency Child Exploitation and Person Trafficking Task Force that is being run through the ECM model that we're here to champion today. Combating human trafficking is a top priority for HSI. Nationwide, we currently lead the efforts of the Center for Countering Human Trafficking for the Department of Homeland Security. It's a DHS-wide effort that is composed of every agency within DHS that has a hand in trafficking and human trafficking investigations. The CCHT, or the Center for Combating Human Trafficking, is the first unified intercomponent coordination center for countering human trafficking, and as such, better equips and positions the Department of Homeland Security to accomplish and improve every aspect of its counter-human trafficking efforts. As for human trafficking resources here in the state of Maryland, HSI Maryland has 17 special agents, 3 criminal analysts, and 1 victim advocate assigned to investigate crimes of exploitation, whether that be child exploitation, sex trafficking, and or human trafficking. Right here in Western Maryland, we have 7 special agents and 1 criminal analyst whose main focus is human trafficking and child sexual abuse material investigations. HSI personnel assigned here to Western Maryland prioritize a victim-centered approach to their investigations, utilizing victim assistance specialists to coordinate mental health support, as well as find housing resources when needed for victims. This approach places equal value on the identification and stabilization of victims and the investigation and prosecution of those that are responsible for their trafficking efforts. HSI's victim-centered approach to these investigations has led to the identification of thousands of victims of child sexual abuse, sex trafficking, human trafficking, as well as other victim-centered crimes. Since the inception of the Intercept Task Force in 2023 here in Frederick, Maryland, HSI Maryland and task force partners have initiated several investigations into human trafficking, labor trafficking, and child sex tourism organizations. These investigations don't just look at those that are here in Western Maryland that are engaged in trafficking individuals in our backyard, but they also look at those that travel to Western Maryland to engage in trafficking activities. One significant investigation that was operated and ran under the Intercept Task Force involved John Balch, who would travel from Florida to Western Maryland and elsewhere to engage in sexual activities with minors. Balch, 3 women from Western Maryland and 1 woman from West Virginia, would collude to produce child sexual abuse material. All 5 of these individuals are currently serving a combined 149 years in jail. Human trafficking and child sexual abuse material investigations are much more successful when we can put the full resources of state, local, federal, international, and tribal law enforcement behind them. HSI is honored to be one of the early participants in the Intercept Task Force, and we look forward to the continued success under the ECM model. I would now like to invite Christy Wells from the Safe House Project to the podium for her remarks.
Good morning. As he said, my name is Christy Wells, and I have the honor of being the CEO and co-founder of Safe House Project. It's an honor to be here today as we launch this Enhanced Collaborative Model Task Force for Frederick County. It's a powerful day for all of us who are committed to this mission. I'm also joined today by my co-founder, Brittany Dunn, and I could not run this organization every day without her. So thank you for your vision and for your leadership and constant dedication. I also want to recognize the entire Safe House Project team. They work around the clock, truly, to support survivors. They want to bring our mission to life every day. Each member of our team is dedicated and compassionate and driven by a desire to see every single survivor that they interact with reclaim their lives. None of what we do would be possible without their constant commitment and dedication. Since we started Safe House Project, our goal has been clear. We want to bring hope and freedom and healing to every single survivor that we encounter. Today, I'm proud to say that Safe House Project operates the largest survivor support network in the country, working with hundreds of partners to offer shelter and resources and advocacy. Through our efforts, we have trained more than 400,000 healthcare providers, law enforcement officers, and community members to identify the signs of human trafficking, which is important because that helps make early intervention possible in cases that might have otherwise gone unnoticed. In just the past few years, we've been able to support over 2,100 survivors as they begin their healing journey towards safety and empowerment. This is a direct result of the hard work of our team, their trust of our partners, and the resilience of every single survivor that we serve. At Safe House Project, we know that every survivor's story is unique, and our approach has to reflect and understand that. One of our core values is trauma-informed care, which we embed into everything that we do, from our programs to our partnership. We're pioneering ways to use technology to enhance support for survivors and improve our reach. Our digital platforms allow us to create secure, survivor-centered communication channels that connect survivors with essential services and resources across the country. In addition to direct support, we invest in education and training for partners and in communities. We equip them with the knowledge and tools to understand how to prevent trafficking and how to respond effectively. We know that our work is not only about serving survivors, but also about preventing exploitation before it ever even happens. Safe, stable housing is crucial for any survivor's journey, which is why Safe House Project has expanded a network of vetted safe homes across the country. Currently, we partner with over 354 trafficking-specific safe homes across the U.S., but 54 of those have been certified to evaluate them against best practices to ensure that they are serving survivors with excellence, and another 53 of those are targeted to be certified for 2025. Each one of these places provides survivors with not only a safe place to stay, but it is a place to heal and a place to rebuild their lives. This year alone, I'm so proud of this team. This year alone, we've placed over 1,285 survivors in safe housing or helped them in their exit of their trafficking situation. We have offered them a firm foundation where they can begin a new chapter. Our approach has been proven effective for long-term survivor success and ultimately their own independence and healing. Our goal is to continue growing this network so that every survivor, no matter where they are, has access to safe and compassionate healing and a place where they can begin their healing journey. And at the heart of our work is a commitment to survivor-centered care. So again, every survivor's story is unique, and it's our job to honor that. So from the moment a survivor calls, it is our job to make sure that we listen with respect, we empower their own choices, and then we help them on that journey to healing. Our focus is survivor autonomy and dignity, which is why we work so closely with partners across the country. We believe that that coordinated approach is one thing it is incredible, and it's the thing that brings together law enforcement and healthcare providers and community organizations. And when we create that web of support for survivors and we give them the resources that they need to begin healing, incredible things happen. So I'm so grateful for the partnerships that were mentioned here today: the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, the Frederick County State's Attorney's Office, the Frederick City Police Department, Operation Lightshine, and our federal partners. Together, we are building that support system that leaves no survivor behind. One of the best things that makes this specific task force really unique and different from the others around the country are the innovative partnerships. We have built really unique partnerships with the hospitality industry throughout this task force that are going to help us ensure that survivors, right as they exit, get safe and stable and anonymous lodging as we help figure out where their next steps are on their path to healing. We owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the Department of Justice, especially the Office for Victims of Crime, for believing in this approach and for giving us a chance to prove here in Frederick County that we can get this done. Their support of over $600,000 for a Safe House Project over the next 3 years allows us to expand our reach and deepen our impact and continue to develop in communities to provide innovative approaches for survivor support. I am filled with hope when I see the commitment from the state's attorney's office and Homeland Security and our local and federal partners. You have to understand this is really unique, and it's not something that happens everywhere across the country. So to see everybody coming together with a unified front against trafficking means that we have a really great opportunity to see tremendous collaboration, but more than that, tremendous impact. So as we move forward, I encourage everyone to stay focused on this mission. We know that human trafficking is a devastating crime. We know it's here in this community, but we also know it's one that we can fight. It's one that we can win. And so this task force is more than just innovation. It's a beacon of hope for survivors and a call to action for this community to model what we know can be achieved for other parts of the country. At Safe House Project, alongside our incredible team and dedicated partners, we are ready to contribute everything that we have to this task force. We're inspired by the resilience of the survivors that we serve every day, and we are driven by the belief that every person deserves hope and freedom and a future. So I look forward to seeing the lives that are going to be transformed as all of us work together to provide them that brighter future. In closing, I want to thank you for your dedication and commitment to this cause. Safe House Project is truly honored to be part of this incredible team and honored to stand alongside each of you in this fight against trafficking. So at this time, I'd like to turn things back over to Joyce King to lead us through any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for your very informative remarks. I know that was a lot of information, but it was important for us to inform the community and all our stakeholders and our HTRT team to attend here and hear about the direction that we're moving. So at this time, I'm going to open it up if there are any questions from the press, and I will direct them accordingly.
You talked a lot about partnership and all of that, but what is going to be the impact in the community? What is your message to people in Frederick County? What will they be able to see as a change?
I think what we're going to see is an expansion of the amazing work that's already being done. There is going to be a direct cost impact to the county. We'd like to thank the county executive, Jessica Fitzwater, and her team for their support financially for the brick and mortar of where our task force is located. This grant will also fund that as well. But we see an expansion that we're hopefully going to have more efficient, effective, and an increase in these prosecutions, an expansion also of our training and prevention work that we're doing in the schools.
And I know you talked about, I think the state's attorney mentioned it too, but the proximity to the highways, et cetera. How big of a problem is this in Frederick County, and why is this money so helpful to get this eradicated, which I think everybody said?
I think what we see nationally and we see here in Frederick County is that we know that there is more happening than we are able to detect because of our limitations of manpower and technology and equipment. What this grant fund will allow us to do is detect more of it. The influx of our population here in Frederick County, as well as the interstate travel, we know that there is more being done, especially with the proliferation of social media and the youth with technology. We know that a lot of trafficking now is being done digitally.
And what's your message to the community, residents of Frederick County?
I think that this is a very important day for our community to have hope for the future, to know that Frederick County's leadership is aligned to keep them safe, and to most importantly support our survivors in a more meaningful way going forward.
Can I ask one question of Chris?
Absolutely.
If possible? Just what gives you hope? You mentioned hope. If you could step to the mic as well, sorry. Why does this give you hope? What are you hoping to see?
Yeah, the thing that we know is that right now only about 1% of victims are ever identified across the country. And when we have gotten an opportunity to serve that 1% and we see their lives transformed because of the supportive services that they need, that gives me hope. And so when we know that both sides of this are working, that we are going to increase identification rates, see stronger prosecution for traffickers and buyers, and see more survivors served and have that opportunity, that changes the world.
Question for Joyce. Could you just talk a little bit more about what is new with this new task force, like different from what was already being done through the Intercept Task Force, or anything else that the State's Attorney's Office is already doing?
This is a great question, and really it's our partnership with Safe House Project. That's the biggest change and expansion. We know here, and I know I have my partners from the CAC as well as Hartley House present that do amazing work in our community, and we want to bolster and assist them. Housing for survivors is a crisis everywhere, and including here in Frederick County. It's often that we are out of beds, so that will be the greatest direct impact is our new partnership.
And then a question about the actual safe houses themselves. You mentioned that there are hundreds of these across the country, but are there safe houses already established in Maryland, in Frederick County? Can you talk a little bit about that specifically?
Yeah, Maryland does have a couple of trafficking-specific programs. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. But really what's important is not just having beds available, but matching the individualized needs of the survivor with the individualized expertise of the safe homes. Not all safe homes are equipped to serve those who have disabilities or who have severe mental health or who have children. And so we've mapped together a large network of safe homes across the country to match the individualized needs of the survivor with the individualized expertise of the safe homes. And when we're able to do that and then continue the communication for law enforcement to have visibility and have access to the survivor to continue the investigation, then we know the stick and stay rate is stronger for survivors in programs, and we also know that it makes it, again, stronger for investigations.
And just one more for Joyce or Charlie, whoever. Could you just talk a little bit more about the funding for this new program looking ahead? How long, do you have funding for it?
It's a 3-year funding, and we're just a tick over $1 million worth of funding. A lot of that is going to go to our non-law enforcement partners because they've collaborated with the housing industry. I know Extended Stay is here; they're a critical partner. So it's a good chunk of that's going to go towards housing resources and other victim-centric resources. Of course, we're going to use money as well for the law enforcement partners to identify victims and to ultimately bring them to justice through investigation and prosecution. So.
And then I think just one more from me. A few people mentioned like new technologies that are going to be kind of integrated into the anti-human trafficking task force. Could we talk a little bit more about like what those are going to look like?
Brian, do you want to take it?
What we've seen is this crime type continues to advance, and due to the lack of funding from your resources for this issue has been the federal funding, right? And that's a big part of why OLS exists, is to kind of stand in that gap because the technology advances every day. I'm not going to get the specifics of what the technology names are, but it allows us to be able to either file share a lot faster versus the old days where it was just mailing cases back and forth to departments, or it allows us to do victim identification way faster. But again, our goal is to continue to advance the technology to stay up to date as best we can. And through that is a big piece of what we want to do alongside with this grant is continue to infuse the best technology. Because what we also have to understand is that behind all these crime types, there is somebody doing the investigation. There's somebody that's looking at these cases, there's somebody that's viewing images, there's somebody that's viewing videos, and the mental toll that it takes on the detectives and the analysts that are working this crime type, that the technology we also implement is a safeguard for them, so we don't have the burnout rate that we typically are seeing. We want to do our best as an organization not only to protect the community, but to protect our law enforcement partners. So.
Is this also technology to intercept on social media, or is it just sort of the ability to share?
Majority of it is to share, and some of it is to be able to scrape social media, scrape websites, scrape data analysis that we can get it to detectives a lot faster versus them having to go out and source some of these tips. We now are able to aggregate it through some of the technology for that.
All right, thank you everyone for your time and attention and commitment. We're going to have a small reception across the street for all our stakeholders to attend and a roundtable to continue this important discussion. Thank you so much.